That's him spray painting the side of a mosque.
Row of Life, Tuesday 9:30.
Jews are of their father, the devil.
I'm whiter than Hitler. But basically one night I masturbated in your bed.
The series that will send you to hell on a double DVD collector's edition. Over an hour and a half of bonus footage, the uncensored Rove Fatwa story, and a Bible full of bonus exorcism scenes. John Safran versus God, the double DVD, out now.
You're walking flypaper for demons.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. In Latin, Dominus vobiscum. Last week he was talking some strange language. John, the first story, please.
Father Bob, a new Vatican document has been released this week.
What a surprise.
A new Vatican document has been released this week that formalises the ban not only on practising gays entering the priesthood, but also men who merely think gay. Men with homosexual tendencies.
Don't know nothing about it.
Now, Bob, this is a question I have. I understand you're a priest, and most priests...
Thank God, at last you've woken up to that.
Like most priests, you're celibate, right? But being celibate doesn't mean you don't have a sexuality. It just means, you're celibate. So what I want to know, in your head, do you think straight or do you think gay?
I think celibate. I'm a retrosexual.
Because this is a relevant question because the church this week is saying, the Vatican's saying, if you think gay...
That's the bosses. They go on about these things all the time. They're not saying... Look, I haven't got a letter from His Holiness Pope Alexander VI or whoever it is, Benedict the 16th or something. I haven't got a letter that says anything. They don't send letters to us. They send them to their managing directors around. Go on, Bobby Waffle.
No, that's a fair enough point.
All I know is celibacy, as far as I'm concerned, and I was taught, is that you fall not in love with one person exclusively, but you fall in love with the whole gang.
But you know what I'm saying? Like George Pell, for example, if I went to him and I said, are you something else, or are you a non-practising heterosexual? Wouldn't he say he's a non-practising heterosexual?
Oh, he'd say he was a heterosexual. I don't know what he'd say, honest, because we haven't had a chance yet to test it with the Gestapo.
The Vatican?
Any Gestapo, like you. I mean, everybody knows we're a mixture of heterosexual and homosexual genes.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yes? You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree
We're
with
a mixture.
Yeah.
We haven't even defined... We don't even know who we are yet. We're only 5 minutes into the evolutionary plan. So 5 minutes.
Does this new Vatican document, does that mean if you're like a young person who's thinking of going to the priesthood, you've got to just forget it if you have any thoughts in your head?
They should go away back to the laboratory and try to work out what they're talking about. Is celibacy about sexuality or is it about the genitals? Let's go to the bloody chase here, mate. Are we talking genitals or are we talking sexuality? Because you and lots of people think that the same thing. Genitals, sexuality.
Well, what's the difference?
There's a big difference because I would say that I was a sexual person, but not genitally occupied. I'm retrosexual. See what I mean?
No, I understand.
You don't understand what sexuality is.
You're saying to be a cleric you have to be a non-practising sexual person as opposed to a non-sexual person.
I'm saying you have to be a sexual. You can't help, once you're born, you have sexuality. In other words, the other word the experts are using is you've got to have something to do with erotic involvement with the world. It's much broader. But what you see, you've got us now narrowing it down to what are the boys and girls doing in the sandpit?
Bob, next story.
Witches and pagans last week cursed the state Labor government for asking all Victorian teachers to celebrate Christmas with carols, nativity scenes and other Christmas traditions. The Pagan Awareness Network said several pagan parents had raised concerns their kiddies were being forced to sing carols and hymns and dress up as Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Anyway, should they be pushing Christianity on the kids in any form or religion on the kids in any form in state schools?
No.
Nothing?
Not push it, but I mean, what do you mean by push? You see, this is this either-or business. Let's negotiate. We've grown up, haven't we? This is 2005.
Well, we're not going to fight about this because it's like, I agree. There's a whole cultural aspect to Christianity. Like, where do you stop? If you're going to stamp out all Christianity in school, it's like, well, are you not going to tell them about the Dreamtime stories about Aborigines because that's got a spiritual aspect to it.
But unfortunately, Christmas happens once a year. As we were told when we were little paper boys, we had to put a little card in all the customers' letterboxes that says, Christmas comes but once a year, don't forget the paper boy.
You know the state Labor government?
You're not listening to me at all, are you?
Should I be listening?
Doesn't matter what I said, you know.
I've stopped listening because when I watched the edit, I realised you're just going off on these insane tangents.
This is where the gold is, you fool. You're supposed to wait and be patient as all gold diggers and you'll find a little... My God, what's this, the welcome nugget? You just brush it aside like that and somebody goes over to the pile of trailings and says, oh, John Safran threw this out.
Bob, listen, I get to watch the show, you know, on Monday nights at 9 o'clock anyway. If I'm not listening to you, I'm thinking it doesn't matter. I'll be able to hear it Monday night at 9 o'clock, sitting in front of us.
I watched the show last Monday night and I was wondering what happened to the piece on the Salvation Army girl.
Oh, the bit where you accused me of flirting with the Salvation Army girl. I
just raised the question.
So you think in some...
I knew. I said to myself...
Crushing of dissent.
I waited until 25 past 9. I said to the dog, hey, not only were you bumped, he's bumped the salvo.
Now you're getting confused. You have to explain to the audience how...
The dog was supposed to be on, ladies and gentlemen. You know, one of my segments, I was sitting here with a talking dog and with a dog whisperer, which would have been scintillating. But it's been bumped 3 weeks in a row, you know, just in case it became too popular, and also because the dog denounced Safran, you see, which was an exclusive scoop, but bumped for 3 weeks. It'll never be on the series. And then, of course, we had the other one last week that we slaved over. About this sleazy business with you and the guests.
Maybe can you
Several guests have rung me up on the phone and said to me, excuse me, could you protect me from your co-host? You see?
Can you say this director's commentary for, like, you know, when the DVD comes out?
Yeah, because it'll end up on the cutting room floor the same as everything else that's worthwhile. There's another series I'll be doing myself later about the best of the Safran Maguire show.
Do you know this isn't the first time the state Labor government has
We haven't finished the bloody Pagan Awareness Network.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You know, in 2001, Premier Steve Bracks came out and said the movie The Exorcist, which was being reissued, shouldn't be reissued on Good Friday.
Yeah, I know. Knee-jerk reactions. Look, it's going on. They're big cities.
And they banned it
all the time.
They banned it, but then he kind of backpedaled because everyone thought...
Look, you're Muslims and lots of other people say, listen, for God's sake, it's not us who are saying don't put Christmas on for the kiddies and don't have cribs. It's a secular humanist who don't want anything of any kind intruding into their bland curriculum for the year.
Yeah, and as I said before, it's like, where does it end? It's a bad path to go down because so much cultural stuff has a spiritual dimension to it.
Yeah, but so much political appropriateness will squeeze every drop of colour out of and culture out of our daily life.
We're quite confused now because we're not fighting over something. We're kind of agreeing about it, so we're kind of thrown off a bit.
But what worries me, ladies and gentlemen, as a secular humanist on the side, is, in fact, that we can't take all the days of the year off for every religion, but I mean, usually...
Surely the 8 days of Hanukkah, though, we can take those off.
You have that. But you've been around, so you lot have won the right because you've been around since the beginning. Then we've won the right because we've been around for a couple of thousand. Islam's won the right because it's been around for 1,200.
What about the Scientologists?
And the Hindus have won the right, but see, they've got a problem because their calendar runs to about 3,485.
You think we can get through 1 week without you bagging the Hindus?
You started with Ganesh. I wake up at night screaming about Ganesh. I never heard of Ganesh before I got mixed up with you.
Ganesh is great. Ganesh is better than anything your church has coughed up.
Krishna is great. I like Krishna.
It's got a novelty.
And who's the top one?
Mordechai Vanunu?
Or Vishnu?
Oh, that's right, Vishnu.
Crikey.com.au. Do you want this or not?
Yeah, go.
Reports. Controversial religious leader Sun Myung Moon. Now I know why you didn't read this. Head of the Unification Church, or the Moonies, is in Australia this week to launch his Universal Peace Federation. The Moonies have been called a cult with Sun Moon, spending 13 months in jail in early 1980s for tax fraud.
Bob, would you ban any religious groups?
No.
None?
No.
I made a little list of religious groups that, in confidence,
That I've banned.
that you've told me you've had issues with.
In confidence, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Don't tell anything in confidence, you know, like crippled parking places, because now there's a bloke out in mine. I had to walk for 3 miles to get here.
Bob, you once said you had issues with the Croatian Catholic Church.
Oh, my God.
What is your issue with the Croatian Catholic Church?
They want to put flags every time they have a wedding. They have flags. I said, you can't have a flag in this church because this is Australia.
But what, you can have Australian flags?
No, well, you can have because it's Australia, for God's sake. But there's the Croatian thing is an establishment of a national approach to religion, and I'm a bit wary of national approaches to religion.
The other religious group you've bagged in confidence is Falun Gong.
No, I haven't. Falun.
You told me that you thought that the whole way they're concentrating on this kind of afterlife on another planet is detracting from doing good things on this planet. Oh, I believe that. Yes.
The same with the Croatian nationalism. There are so many things separating us out. And also your friend who was here last week, Mr. whatever his name was, who was the Raelian. And the beautiful moon girl, who was this, who was talking Starling, all of that. See, what worries me is that a lot of us are becoming disenchanted with being human. We want to go somewhere else. Anything, will something please come and stop in the car park and take us away? You know what I mean? Whereas I want to be involved and immersed in humanity as humanity. That's where I think our salvation lies, and that's what Christmas is all about.
Thank you, Father Bob. Father Bob, you know you're not my only spiritual advisor. You know, like, for example, if I want to find out something about Scientology, I ring my friend Pauline Priest from the Church of Scientology. If I want to know something about Buddhism, I speak to my Chinese Buddhist friend, Michelle Mu. If I want to find out something about Judaism, I ring Imi Weinstein, my friend Jeremy Weinstein's father, a very wise Jew. Thanks for joining us, Imi Weinstein.
Yeah.
Now, you said to me recently that if I marry a non-Jewish woman, I'm finishing Hitler's work for him.
Absolutely.
Did you say that?
Absolutely.
He says you say that.
No, I say that, absolutely. I fully agree with that.
And isn't that a bit racist?
Racist? Absolutely not. Because by the mere fact that if you marry a non-Jewish woman and produce children, your children are no longer Jewish. Hitler's point was he wanted to eradicate the Jewish nation from the world. If you stop producing Jewish children, you're finishing his work.
Yeah, but just say some WASP said, oh, listen, I don't want my daughter to marry a Jew. Wouldn't people consider that racist?
I don't think so. Absolutely not. We all should marry within our societies, within our cultures, within our tribes, if you want to call them, for the simple reason marriage is difficult enough as it is. Even if you marry within your culture, within your tribe, marriage is difficult. If you're going to marry out...
Wouldn't some Jews go, my tribe is Australia?
No, but Jews are Jews. We're Australian Jews. We are Australian citizens. We're citizens of the country of Australia, and we're loyal to the country, and we're loyal to everything. We uphold all the laws and the rules and the regulations. But we are Jews, and in that way we are different. You have to work so hard at married life. But there are so many different things, and to having different backgrounds and different religious things is only going to cause a lot more conflict within the relationship.
But surely, like, love should conquer all, should it not?
Yeah, but love eventually dries out and dies and goes away or gets stronger or whatever.
Now, you sometimes have me over for dinner.
Absolutely.
Will you freeze me out if I marry a non-Jewish girl?
Will I freeze you out? I will probably not invite you to Friday night dinner at my place, no.
The Jewish dinner?
No, I will not.
And what happens if Jeremy, your son, if he had married a non-Jewish woman, would you have her over at the house, or what would your ruling be?
Well, it didn't happen because he's married to a lovely Jewish girl, but had he, then I would probably have kept him as my son as much as I could, but I would probably have ignored my daughter-in-law.
The only way your lot has survived through the centuries is by marrying
Absolutely.
in.
Absolutely. That's
All
correct.
other attempts to eliminate the Jewish people have failed because they married in.
And also because we believe that we are God's chosen people,
yes.
and therefore God will not abandon us if we stick
the rules.
That's right.
Within Jewry, so to
within
speak,
Jewry,
have
we
we
will-
got different views
Yes,
of this
there are many
exclusiveness?
Absolutely, there are many different views. For instance, the Reform and the Liberal are not that strict on that.
No, on marrying out.
No, unfortunately not.
So,
and they are helping the demise of the Jewish nation. Yes, John.
if I marry a non-Jewish girl, you're not coming to the wedding?
No.
And would you advise Jeremy not to come to the wedding?
I would suggest it to him. I wouldn't ban it. I would suggest it to him that rather than giving you moral support at this time of your need, I don't think you deserve it.
And what about my children with the non-Jewish woman? Like, because they'd be half Jewish, would
No,
they
they
not?
wouldn't.
Or culturally Jewish.
They wouldn't be Jewish at all. They wouldn't be Jewish at all.
The mother.
Now, you must know that at schools, like in Melbourne, Mount Scopus, a Jewish school,
Yes.
there's a lot of half-Jewish kids.
Yes.
What do you think about Jews who you don't consider Jews who only have a Jewish father?
Well, what do I think about it? Unfortunately, it's a fact that I have to live with. There's nothing much I can do about it.
But should they be, like, frozen out of the Jewish community?
Well, they're not Jews.
So, like, they should be kicked out of Mount Scopus?
I didn't say that, but all I'm saying is they're not Jews.
In this pluralist society of ours, that's a bad word, I suppose, is it? Pluralist?
No, not at all.
You sure?
Because, no, it is a pluralist
Well,
society.
are we just going to have a balance of tribes or
Well, no,
a coalition or something?
No,
or
I think,
Federation.
I think all religions and all people should. I respect all other religions. I'm not going to say that either Christianity or Catholicism or
But see,
Presbyterian
we're
or
not
any of them.
ethnically based. You're ethnically based, so you're a closed shop.
I don't think. Why?
Well, you've got to be born a Jew.
No, you can convert to Judaism. My wife converted to Judaism. My wife wasn't born
From what?
Jewish. From Christianity. She was a Christian.
That means at some point you're going out with a Christian.
No, absolutely not. I met my wife approximately 2 years ago. She converted 4.5 years ago to Judaism.
Damn. There goes my
Before
little
I
boy
met her.
rug out from under you.
There goes the
down the
sleaze
hill.
Sorry,
factor.
John.
Smarter than you are, mate.
You have to understand, had she converted just for marrying me, I would never have married her. Happened to see a lovely photo of you in the Herald Sun on Monday, it was, with a lovely young lady.
Yes.
And she is Jewish, from what I understand.
Fraud.
How am I a fraud?
You've set us up with this it's like, you know,
Bob,
you lose your father in last week to be murdered.
Yeah, John, are you planning on getting married shortly? Is there something in the air?
There's nothing
Come
in
on,
there.
John, is there
Bob,
something in the
can
air?
you say goodbye to our guest?
Goodbye, Imi. Shalom.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John.
And I'll see you this Friday night at dinner,
Absolutely.
assuming I don't pick up a non-Jewish girlfriend along the way.
Hopefully not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matchmaker, who do we have this week,
We
Father
have
Bob?
a Sikh gentleman called Daman Pal Singh Sana.
Hi.
Daman, how do Sikhs differ from Hindus?
Sikhism is a religion that actually started from Hindus about 500 years ago, and it slowly became a separate religion in 1699.
And you only have one God?
We believe in one God, but there were 10 preachers who led us to one God.
Because Hindus have tons of gods,
Yeah.
most of them with monkey ears or elephant trunks.
No. Is there a caste system within Sikhism?
Well, Sikh religion was actually made in order to avoid the caste system. This is another distinction that you used to find in Hinduism. And this religion, the strict point was that there should be no caste system.
And what's up with the turban?
Turban is actually to protect us, our hair, because we don't cut our hair. So
And what's that?
It's a part of a religion, like we keep the shape as we were given by God.
Because you would not have been having the same amount of trouble, say, with headgear as the Islamics are you?
No.
You've never had trouble from the
Never.
Aussies?
No.
Is it true that Sikhs carry swords around with them, little swords?
It is true, but only the Baptist Sikhs.
Ah.
So
Do you have a sword on you now?
Not at the moment.
Ah, okay. Then I'll get cocky.
Because the point you're making about the swords, in case people might think this is arbitrary carrying of swords, is in fact the Sikhs were created as a defence against an invader who were taking advantage of the India and the Hindu people.
That's correct, and this religion was actually stood up to fight against those and protect the Indian community, Indian religions, and slowly from there it became as a religion.
You personally, this is a matchmaking segment. Now, what makes you a good catch?
Well, I came to Australia 6 years ago with only one suitcase and $2,000 in my pocket, and after 6 years I've established 2 companies and I'm director of them.
Excellent. And what kind of companies are they?
One is entertainment. I do Bollywood shows in Melbourne.
Have you come here by mistake or something, you know?
And another one is into food industry.
And what are you looking for in a Sikh girl?
She must be challenging, attractive, good-looking, professional, like as I'm a qualified engineer.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Father Bob, if there's a Sikh girl out there, what should they do?
They should get in touch with the mailbox at speakingintongues.com.au or the post office box, which is 434 Prahran, Victoria 3181. Thank you, Daman.
Thank you very much.
John, what came in this week for the billboard?
First one from Richard Dudley via email. Lost Yahweh.
That's very classical.
But
Yahweh being the name for God in your religion. And very short and sharp.
Next from Jessica, Victoria. And she's localised it for you and your church. The South Melbourne market has great cheeses, but step inside, we have Jesus.
Yes, a little bit, wouldn't you say, vulgar.
Vulgar?
Vulgar in the sense of a bit too common. But no, as an advertising person, I would say it's very good, but not as good as number one.
Elizabeth and Paul, via email, have sent us, I am the good shepherd, and yous follow me.
Very, very insinuating, yes. Next, please.
And finally, from Lifina Bun of New South Wales, once you go Vatican, you won't go back again.
No. Thank you.
What's wrong with that? That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's great.
Number one.
Richard Dudley, Lost Yahweh. That's going up on your billboard this week.
Short, sharp and to the point.
Bob, give the details.
For details, mailbox at speakingintongues.com.au or post office box 434 Prahran, Victoria 3181.
Thank you, Father Bob.
Thank you, Jono.
Apparently this show is being video podcast, Father Bob.
How do you do it?
Go to speakintongues.com.au and, you know,
What?
if you can get there.
Press something.
You've got a computer at home, don't you?
I've got a computer at home.
Have you ever gone to a bad page?
What do you mean a bad page?
I mean, you're
Filth.
the computer. Yes.
I don't know. How do you know where they're... I don't open them little things. If it says yours can be even bigger, I ignore the thing. You see, because I know that your secret police could be watching anywhere. Ha-ha! He opened the thing on the computer. He's under arrest and he's flung into prison for 20 years or something. I know all these things.
Father Bob, before we go, I have one last thing to ask you. I heard you forgot to turn up to a speech you were going to give. Remember that?
Yeah, the one and only in 41 years. Now, who leaked that? Who did you torture to get that out of?
You forgot to turn up. And, you know, I'm telling you, all the people there, do you know what they would have thought? Father Bob's on the TV now. He doesn't care about us little people.
How'd you get that? This is atrocious, this bloody instinct you've got for sleaze. I didn't look at me diary that one night in 41 years, ladies and gentlemen, and I rang immediately to the place and said, I'm terribly sorry. I did not notice where I was supposed to be tonight. And she said, you wouldn't have noticed anyway because most priests are drunk on Saturday night.
And you know what? She was all polite to you on the phone when she hung up. You know what she
rang
said?
you.
You know what she said? Wanker. Ever since he's got on the TV, he thinks he doesn't have to turn up to speeches. Thank you, Father
apologise
Bob.
to all those people who went to that show. Where was it?
I'm not sure.
St Kilda
As soon as I found
Bowling
out the
Club.
sleaze,
Oh,
I wasn't
you were
interested
onto it.
in any further
You
details.
were onto it. Thank you, John, once again for priest abuse.
Thank you, Father Bob, even though you've changed man ever since you got on the television.
Thank you, John.